Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel Genius Knowledge Point, your go-to place for practical programming solutions for diploma, computer and IT students. If you are stuck on any practical assignment or just want to learn how to solve programs step by step, then you are in the right place. The main purpose of making this video is to provide practical knowledge to all diploma students so that they can develop their own programs which will be helpful for their future. So in this video we are going to see practical number 6 of object oriented programming, that is for diploma, computer and IT semester 3rd, and that is for case scheme. So this practical is regarding implement inline function. So we have to use inline function here. So before going to the question, we will see what is inline function. So we have to see the explanation of what function is declared as inline. So for that purpose I am going to previous practicals program as an example. I am considering it. So if you see, there are multiple functions which are declared inside the class circle. The first one is read function, then compute function is there, and display function is there. We have defined them and we have called them using the object C. So this is the object of class circle C. So how we have called that? C.read. So what will happen at this point, the control of your program will pass to this location, and what will happen, this code will be executed. So from this point we will jump to this read function code, and that will execute this code line by line, whatever is present inside that function. So this is how the functions are called when they are not inline or when they are normal function. But in case of inline function, what we will do, we will create this function as inline. Then what will happen, this code will be replaced by this function call. This is called the inline function. So whatever is written inside the function definition, that will be replaced by this function call, similar to other functions. So what will happen here, C.read will be executed and that place will be replaced by this code. So ultimately the same thing is happening whether it is inline or normal function, but this is the difference between normal function and inline function. So let us move to the practical number 6. So the question 1 is, write a C++ program to create a class number having data members n1 and n2 and perform mathematical operations like addition, subtraction, multiplication and division on two numbers using inline function. So basically we have to create one class, that is number, and inside that we have variables as n1 and n2. So these are the member variables, and we have to perform mathematical operations. So for mathematical operations we have to use these functions: addition, subtraction, multiplication and division. So we have to define these functions for each operation. That will be the general structure. So the class number we have to create, then variables will be n1, n2, and we can take result as a variable to store the result of those operations. Then member functions will be add, sub, multiply, divide. So the names may be different in your case, or you can use the same names, and inside main we have to use or we have to call those functions. So let us move to the coding part directly. So this is the number class which I have designed. Initially you have to include the header files, then class name, that is class number, then inside a private declaration I am using two member variable as n1 and n2. These are of integer data type. Then I am starting public access specifier, and inside that I am first using one function to accept the n1 and n2 values. So void accept, this function is for accepting the values of these two variables. So out and entering the message, enter number 1, then using scene accepting it inside n1, similar for n2. So both the numbers are accepted here, stored inside n1 and n2. So the accept function is completed. Now we have to create inline functions for those operations. So how to define inline function? The function definition is same as a normal function, just we have to attach a keyword inline before that. so that will become inline function. So how I have done that? Int add, this is my normal function definition. I have used the function with return type. So this function will be returning some value, that is integer value. So that is function with return type and without parameter, as no parameter is passed. This is the function without parameter, but it is returning integer value. And before that I am attaching keyword inline, so that will become inline function. So inside that I am just returning addition of n1 and n2. So n1 and n2, whatever the numbers are stored, that will be added and that will be returned. Why I am using return statement? Because this is function having return type, so it should return something, and that returning data type should match with this int. So that's why return statement should be having the integer output. So this is the integer output, as the numbers n1 and n2 are integer. It will generate integer output only. So this is how the add function is defined. Similarly, subtract function is defined. Inline, that is the inline function keyword, then return type, then function name. So subtract is the function name, and as the bracket is empty, that means parameters are not passed, and again returning n1 minus n2. So the subtraction will be performed here and that value will be returned as a output. Similarly for multiply, inline int multiply without parameters, then return n1 star n2, that is the multiplication of n1 and n2, that will be returned as integer by return statement. And finally inline float divide, as the division may have a floating point number, so that's why we have to use return type as float here. So inline float divide, if you take this return type as integer, you will not get the fractional part of that output. That's why you have to use float. Then again I am returning n1 divided by n2, and as n1 and n2 are integer, their division will be integer value. So to convert that integer into float, I have used typecasting. We have seen this in the previous practicals. So this is the float output, so returning float value, and that will be the output of this divide function. So finally all the functions are done. I am closing the class with curly bracket and semicolon. So class has ended. Now going to main function. So inside main I have to create one object of the class, that is number space object name. So num is my object name here. I am calling the accept function using num.accept. So num.accept will accept the values for n1 and n2, and this function is not inline function. So what will happen at this point, the control will go to this location and this code will be executed. This is how the normal function works. So this is the calling of normal function. Then I am putting a message, that is cout addition. This is the simple message, attaching colon, then attaching space, and after that I am attaching num.add. What will happen? The operation of add function will be executed here, and it will not run like a normal function. What will happen? This code will be replaced by this statement. So it will return n1 plus n2 at this location directly. So the n1 plus n2 is the addition of two numbers, and that addition will be displayed in front of addition message. So this is how the inline function is working. Similarly other functions are called cout subtraction, then attaching the subtract function output, cout multiplication, attaching multiply function output, cout division, then attaching divide function output. So that will be the same as add functions. So all the functions are called here, and these are inline functions. Their code will be executed here directly. So finally getch is there to hold the output string, and ending the main function with return 0. So it will end the main function. So just selecting all, copying it, then we have to put header file as istream.h. I'm going to debug, running the code. So it is asking me to enter number 1. I'm entering one value, and enter number 2, entering another value. You can see the first number is integer number, that is 70, second number is integer number 3, addition is printed, subtraction is printed, multiplication is printed. But if you see the division is printed into fractional part, because we have used the typecasting here. We have used floating typecasting, so we have converted their division into float value. That's why it is printed as float number. So this is how we have completed the first question. Now the next question is under practical related questions, that is write a C++ program to calculate area of rectangle using inline function. So this is very simple program. It is not mentioned here to create any class or object. So we can do it using procedure oriented programming also. So let us see the structure of this program. So first we have to create inline function, that is calculate area. The function name is given, that should be inline function. And for that purpose, to calculating area of rectangle, we need some variables, that is length, width and area, to store the area of that rectangle. So, and inside main we have to accept the values of length and width, so that is the input from user, and we have to calculate area using this function. So this is the very simple program. I am not using object oriented method here. I will do it using procedure oriented. If you want, you can do it using object oriented also. So initially I am including the header files, then directly main function is not created here. Before that I have to create that inline function. So how I am creating it? Inline, that is the keyword for inline function. Int, this is the return type of my function. As it is calculating the area of rectangle, it should return something, so that's why I am taking it as int. Then my function name is calculate area, and inside that I am passing two parameters, that is int length comma int width. So these are the parameters that will be the input for my function from main function, and this is the function name and this is the return type. So we have created this function as with return type and with parameters. So basically there are different parts of different types of functions we have seen already in the C programming. So from that we have used it as a function with return type and function with parameters. So this is the definition of function. Inside the definition we have returned length into width. So as the function is having calculation of area of rectangle, so for that purpose we can directly return length into width. So this is the formula for rectangle's area. So that is returned here and the function is closed. So this is how the function is created. Next we will move to the main function, that is void main. Inside main we have to accept the values for length and width of that rectangle. So for that purpose I am creating two variables, that is int length comma width. Now if you see the length and this length, the variable name is same but their values will be different because this length is inside this function only. So this is a local variable, so which is accessible inside this calculate area function only. So this becomes local for calculate area function only, and this length is inside main function. So this is the local variable for main function. So both the variables are different logically. If you see inside the computer, the memory location of those two variables will be different. So these are different variables though their names are same. So int length and width, these are the declaration of two variables. Then see out, I am entering a message, enter the length of the rectangle, so that will be the message for user. Then scene length, so that will be the accepting length value from user. Similarly for width, enter the width of the rectangle, this is the message, and using scene it is accepted into width variable. So now both the length and width for rectangle are accepted. Now we have to call the area function. So for that purpose I am taking one more variable, that is int area. As the length and width are in integer format, their product will be integer only. So that's why I am taking area as a integer. So int area is equal to, I am calling this function calculate area and passing two parameters, that is length and width, which is accepted inside main function. So from this location the value will be copied here and width value will be copied here to calculate the area of the rectangle. So what will happen here, as the function is inline, this code will be executed directly at this location. So the function definition code, that is return length into width, that will be executed here using the values of length and width which are inside main function. So this is how the inline function will work here, and that calculation will be again the integer value that is stored into area. So the area is calculated here, and finally we have to put the printing message of output. So that is the area of rectangle is attaching area variable and endl. Finally the main is closed, so closing it with get ch, and main function is closed. So just selecting all, copying it, going to compiler, taking a new file, pasting the code here, going to debug, running the code. So if you see the message is printed, enter the length of rectangle, so I have to print something. So 50 I am entering as the integer value is taken there, and second 40 I am entering. So if you see the area of rectangle is calculated as 2000, that is the product of 50 and 40. So this is how we have calculated area using inline function. Even if you are not using inline function, the output will be same. So this practical is about just using of inline function. So this is how we have completed the question, and also the practical number 6 is completed. So that's it for today's practical. I hope this helped you understand the solution clearly. Code for this practical is available at the link given in the description. If you found this video useful, don't forget to like, share and subscribe to my channel for more such diploma level programming solutions. If you have any doubts or need solutions for other programs, drop a comment below. I will be happy to help. And hit the bell icon so you never miss a new video. Thanks for watching and happy coding.